Hello, my people. Happy New Year. I am jumping on here for a quick clip. I know I always say that, but I want to deliver some of these sorts of messages in little bite sized chunks because it's really a lot to digest. I might even actually record another episode tonight that will dive a lot deeper. But I wanted to show you all. So I got this magnificent cup for my little Japanese tea party here, and it's a little bit too big, so I might actually just end up using it for soup. But I've always wanted one, and then I have my little whisk thing for the green tea. And usually I don't normally drink it like this straight, but it has a lot more beneficial qualities than drinking it like, I guess, I don't know to say from the tea bag, but anyway, it's like more potent. And so antioxidants, energy and metabolism, all these sorts of things, garbage. You got to do it regularly. But anyway, that's for another show, which I haven't dived deep into talking about my background in holistic wellness. And I really need to do that more. Like, I don't even know why. I'm kind of disgusted by myself by not doing that more. Talking about how we can walk alongside doctors and dermatologists as well, because there's just a lot there. So I do believe in both Eastern and Western methods. And I'll talk a little bit about that today. But today, what I wanted to dive into, the umbrella of everything I talk about has to do with culture, right? American pop culture, American mainstream culture, right? We'll just call it that. And I got inspired again today because I was listening to a podcast, a spiritual chick, and who I liked what she was saying because it brought me back to, while my audience is a younger group that are, they're obviously, they're more evolved, some of them, because of the internet and knowing about natural healing, knowing about supernatural, knowing about this talk when people talk about other realms and things like that. So it brought me point of helping those understand that maybe are still learning, no matter what age that you are at. And it made me think, this isn't a new thought for even my generation, so where I'm gonna say before 1970s. Yeah, because I was born in 1977. Before 1970s, having, or 77, is that everything was just so different back then in terms of mindset. Obviously, people have seen how humanity has evolved and changed, electricity, cars, all that sort of stuff, right? Well, again, a part of that, when you hear people saying, waking up or becoming more conscious, is realizing what we have gone through as a culture in just the part of what I just said, opening up to the idea of all these things out there, including aliens, right? So I am not an expert by any means of that world. I am just a person from a young age, 14, who on a very basic level, I can explain to you that I saw how not only parents, but authority figures, it was a controlling structure, right? And you can go study this for yourself, but it's what I talk about in authoritarian rule. And this is where I come from when I talk about the perspective of these influences making us feel like we are supposed to act, be, look like, dress like, live. Okay. So I just had that idea already in my mind. But things I would do, right, is picking up a product or food. Actually, I remember specifically Doritos. I was going to try to give you an example of Gatorade. And I would see the different things in there because it was addicting. I was like, there's got to be something in here addicting, like sugar, example, right? Sugar, all these other sorts of things. And so I had always been thinking like that, that power, control, and also I mentioned this before, my interest in veterans. I had always wondered how they, what their soul and their spirit if they did things outside of their moral code and character. And I found out later in life that was all validated to me. Not only talking about veterans, but reading one of my, I don't want to say my favorite books, but it's kind of my favorite, called War in the Soul by Dr. Edward Tick. And he's helped a lot of veterans in terms of their healing and going back to the roots of nature and different things that will nurture our souls and basically repair us, right? Wounded warriors. And so, speeding it up to now, so all of this conditioning and programming has affected the way that we view the world. Okay. So now we're coming to this point, and again, like I said, I'm not an expert. I have not traveled in my, I guess, to say that I can remember any other realms or different things or anything like that. Yes, stuff has happened to me in my sleep, but I'm not one of those people to be able to tell you any stories and the future and clairvoyance and things. I just know what I want to make happen, and I want to share with you how powerful we can be. But also, what is the point of all of this? How am I going to, and how am I delivering this message to you today in such a small clip? Is to basically just explain this whole waking up. Realizing your potential and power sounds really great, but when your sense of worth is at, I don't know if I want to say a lower vibrational state, because I was that person for a very long time, and that's how I can explain it. And that's why people smiling, I was always making fun. Look at them all happy and shit and hugging and smiling. And so I still strive every day. It's like, why can't I smile more? And so it shouldn't be that difficult. So coming from that mindset and realizing how powerful we are, it's that we can create. And once government authority, all these people that are trying to control, right? Trying to control out of power and greed. Let's not even look at it from like their devils or their, or maybe we want to call it the dark side, but basically, right? Power and greed, and just keep it at that, and to see how much money they can buy and how they can make us and make us do things and then laugh at us and realize, like they say later in life, some people retire and they realize they've almost like spent their entire life working, right, just to retire, and then like just be feeling like a fool or something. And I'm not saying this happens with everybody. I'm just saying, like, we could easily be a joke on the amount of money that we spend on things. Yes, for having fun, but I'm just trying to give the example of power and greed. And you would say, what the hell is the point? Well, to control us or keep us dumb and stupid, whatever you want to believe. But the point is, okay, the waking up, but the waking up, some people never, those people that thought those ways before, like I said, growing up and judging the supernatural or judging aliens or judging others for the way they are. Now people are more expanded, right? Just like the same thing like with gays, how it's looked at in our country, and people are becoming more just at least open. Some people might not be cool with it, but they are just, their mind be expanded. Okay. So the authoritarian rule, right? That was about like, do what you're told, don't ask questions, or you will be spanked, thrown in the dungeon. There's a consequence, right? And so that made me think, in listening to this show, is that a lot of those people would judge people, like maybe having a ghost experience or me talking about this spiritual stuff. They would say I'm weird, or that's hippie shit, or whatever it is, or that's too deep, or whatever it is. I've been told my whole life, or whatever it is, but especially as I got more into natural and holistic healing, it was just, I don't say weird, it's just people explored that. It was basically looked at as hippie shit, which yeah, so I'm half hippie, okay? So my stepmom would give me this nasty ginger tea that would just help heal my throat, and it was great. So I only had that little bit of knowledge of natural healing, but then when I went to school for aesthetics and skincare, I started learning more about the plants and all these sorts of things that Native Americans have been doing forever. And I'm like, sometimes I think back at that and I'm like, how did that even start? Was it a racist thing where it was just kind of like, if Native Americans were always using plants and healing and all of that, like at what point and stage, when yes, they started making drugs and making money off of it, but where it became a talking shit about that? Like I don't understand where that came into play. The only thing that I can think of is maybe in culture, like with hippies being vegans and vegetarian, wearing Birkenstock stocks, having dreads, that kind of food tasting gross, and the separation of us, right? So it was like everybody became separate. And I don't really know as far as if we have always been a melting pot because there's so much division, I feel, from the media's push. It's like, how did that all become natural healing, essential oils, things from the earth, being hippie shit, something to make fun of? Like that's what I can't get over. And so, doing yoga and all these different things to the alpha male that again also would seem feminine or pussy shit, like pussy, like I'm not sure in there. Maybe somebody school me. I'd like to know what years in there that changed. But the judging, the all the judging that comes from all of that. And I just really ran my mouth a lot on that. But I'm going to end here on talking about this part, is that the influence of mainstream culture and what it has done to a lot of people that, I don't even know to say that it's kept people narrow minded. And I used to be narrow minded. But how did that come to be like the mainstream? Like, I don't get that. And maybe too, just in media, it was just all advocating and promoting white. That's why whites and white skin and blue eyes. And it started in there, which is also why I had so many issues with not looking like that or feeling white enough. Because back then, and this was only late 80s, early 90s, living in rural Pennsylvania, that's still what you saw on TV and Hollywood and magazines, and who we saw as women as the role models in a certain body type. And only how many years now that it's evolving to be accepted or to accept yourself. But I also think it's really dumb that even a body part can become popular. And I see all these airbrush things on websites even for women's clothing, and do they think we're dumb because it's so fake? The way that they put the ass in there, it's so outrageous, like you can tell it's fake. And so it just sends a different message, more like body image issues to men and women. So if you ask me, the point of all of this evolving culture, evolving humanity, not feeling controlled by others, authoritarian structure, all this stuff, it takes time to see it. It takes time to understand and process and change things and how you view the world. Because again, if you asked me, like, what is the point? Like, who cares how powerful we are? Who cares this and this and that? It's that when we are able to grab that innate power within ourselves, we can change this reality and combat the dark, which you don't have to have. I know for a lot of us, I mean, we don't have neighbors and people that we meet every day that are sacrificing children and sex trafficking and all this sort of stuff. It makes it seem too far out there, like it's not relatable. But this stuff is going on and it continues to go on. And when we unite, and while we are here, right, you could easily not care, but I feel like I cannot sit here and enjoy life when I know things like that on. And it's a bigger population that I think. I feel like I stay sheltered if I just want to keep pushing it away and thinking like, oh, it's not affecting me, it's not real. And you just continue to hear more and more stories of things going on. So that's what I want to end with here. And for real, I'm going to end it right here. And I probably will continue on because I have so much more to say. Again, I will never run out of material for life. The more I listen to things, the more it inspires me to keep talking. And I will share with you on my journey as I'm learning and going through this. I feel like, as I don't want to say the average person but because I've studied so many things and talked to so many different people, I kind of have some interesting insight, and also exploring so much out of my tribe. To this point, I don't even know who is left. Whether you say it's somebody with same musical interests or whatever it is, like minds, it's also very slim. So I don't hope you enjoyed this rant again, and I will continue and talk to you guys later in the next video. Okay, bye.